At the Open University, we have a course that is for beginners, so for people who haven't necessarily started learning a language yet, and it's called Exploring Languages and Cultures. And in this particular part of the course, we introduce students to the idea of using languages at work. And so, for instance, one of the things that we do is talk about the jobs of translating and interpreting. And of course, the students haven't really started learning a language yet, but we still try to get them to do, some activities that just to get a feel for what being an interpreter is like. So, for instance, in this activity that I'm going to show you now, what you have to do is you have to listen to a bunch of scientists who are talking about the stereotypes that you find in popular culture about what being a scientist is like. And instead of obviously interpreting into a foreign language, all you have to do is just listen to them and repeat what they're saying, but a couple of seconds afterwards. Okay, so just listen carefully and do the activity as you listen to them.
When I think of a scientist, I think of like a mad scientist. A bit Einstein looking, probably. Big glasses, it's like the crazy hair.
And a long white coat and goggles as well.
Maybe a moustache.
Normally I think scientists are quite geeky because, like, if you think about a scientist, you have to be quite clever. Someone that studies hard, that doesn't go out and just is really, like, focused on doing work and stuff like that.
Looks like he's been blown up with experiments a lot.
Mid-50s, early 60s sort of age.
Bit of a loner, maybe.
Well, not many people can see him. Mysterious man.
He would work perhaps at a university or something like that. Or on his own, in his own lab at home.
Sort of maybe in his own basement or something, doing crazy experiments.
I don't know why, but I always just imagine them to be men normally.
It always is. In, like, cartoons and things, they're always guys that look like that, the scientists.
So how did you find that? That is quite hard, isn't it? Because, of course, you have to be listening to what they're saying and at the same time remembering it and saying it yourself. Okay, but it's a good introduction to the sort of task that you have to do as an interpreter. Okay, so now the next one, a little bit harder. So in this one, it's a slightly longer audio that you're going to be listening to. And just to practice the sort of skills that you need as a consecutive interpreter. Okay, so an interpreter who listens to a chunk of language and then translates it into another language. So listen to this person speaking. You can take some notes as they're speaking and then try to say it again, and if possible, using slightly different words.
If you look at some of the films in the 50s and 60s, you had this massive explosion in science, and there was a real belief, I think, that science was going to sweep everything else before it and create the perfect world. And you see all these images of people in white coats telling you, and they are almost preaching at you, seemingly all-knowing. But as we've started to find out, we're just as fallible as the next person.
Now that was really hard, I expect, wasn't it? I certainly find it very, very hard myself. And I think the reason why it's hard is obviously because you're now doing three things. So you're listening, you're saying it in different ways, you're remembering it, okay? So three skills in there. But I hope this has given you a taste for what being an interpreter is like.